Owen thinks Liverpool are back. Phil Egan, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you doing, lads?
Are Liverpool back?
I don't think so. No. If they could play in Budapest every week, they'd be fine. But no, it was good. It was very similar to the first leg where they gave up a few chances. They had plenty of chances, weren't clinical enough. But then when they got the first goal, it just seems to relax them. And just like 3 weeks ago, the Salah and Mane both scored. But I thought up until the goals went in, Mane in particular having a very tough night. It's very strange watching this version of Sadio Mane because it's so good since he arrived from Southampton, but he's obviously not the same Mane at the moment. Maybe the goal will do his confidence the world of good. I think having Jota there, he's only going to get better. Obviously, he's just coming back from injury, but the three of them combined for that first goal, and you see Mo Salah is a lot more clinical when he's on the right and he can cut in on the left like he did for the goal, whereas you think back to the chance he had in the first half where he was on the left-hand side and he shot straight at the keeper, and then follow up, I don't know what Mane was trying to do. But yeah, I think a lot more encouraging in terms of having Fabinho in midfield, but I would wonder what Klopp will do in the quarterfinals because there's a good chance Henderson will be available. Will he put Henderson in the sixth role and drop Fabinho back? Matt Phillips had a great game last night. Everything that was put into the box, he cleared. You play against a more clinical team, a team with a better attack, and maybe that's where your central defenders will be tested a lot more. It was quite a comfortable night for them.
Who do you want in the quarterfinals?
Well, you think Porto would be the team that you'd want. Obviously, if you knock Juventus out, you've got to have something about you, and they're quite dogged in that game the other night. But Liverpool would fancy the chances of beating Porto. Liverpool-Dortmund would be an exciting game. Obviously, Haaland is the main man at the moment, but they give up chances at the back as well. So that could be a goal fest. Liverpool want to avoid City and Bayern Munich or PSG as well.
I'd love to see them get PSG. That'd be decent over 2 legs. One last question on this. If instead it was Sadio Mane who got through instead of Diego Jota for the first goal, does that ball get squared to Mo Salah if it's Mane?
Don't know. Maybe Jota's going to be the peacemaker between the two of them.
Because he went out of his way to create. I'm like, you're clean through one-on-one there. And, I mean, obviously it worked out very well. But it was very kind of him, I thought, to pass that ball.
Yeah. I mean, at times Liverpool overplayed in the final third. You think the Thiago chance where you're just thinking, just shoot. And he passed the ball to Salah. There was a few times where that final ball let them down and they weren't clinical. And you thought maybe they'll get punished, and Salah hits the crossbar and then the tie completely changes. But yeah, it's what they can do now in the Premier League, and having Fabinho back should give them a bit more confidence. They're away to Wolves next Monday. The problem with playing Wolves is Wolves are so good on the counter-attack that if Liverpool try and squeeze Wolves and play a high line, Wolves are the kind of team that can punish them. But also as well, it's a chance for Liverpool maybe to scout a few more Wolves players after the success of Jota.
All right, what else is going on?
Well, obviously, while that was going on, I mean, I was told, what are you doing watching Liverpool and Leipzig? This Barcelona and PSG game is unbelievable. The first half, have you seen Messi's goals? So Messi scores an unbelievable goal, also has a penalty saved. Who knows what that second half would have been like? But that 1-1 draw for PSG sends them into the quarterfinals, 5-2 in aggregate. The draw, by the way, will take place tomorrow week. And first time since 2005, there'll be no Messi or Ronaldo in the quarterfinals of the competition. 2005, who won the Champions League that season? I'm just throwing it out there.
You've got Mayo roots, definitely. There's like that seems to be contagious. That whole, there's a Mayo man in the White House, we're going to win, and no, that's not.
I know Jurgen Klopp. I know you're going to go into more detail about Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp was asked, can Liverpool go on and win the Champions League? And he said the difference with this team now and the team that would have got to the finals consecutively was they were in decent form in the Premier League, where they're not at the moment. But who knows if they get a good draw. Speaking of Manchester City, 14 points clear at the top of the Premier League once again, 5-2 win at home to Southampton. So they bounced back from the Manchester derby. And despite the win, Riyad Mahrez scored 2 goals, but Pep Guardiola not happy with John Moss and VAR. And you can understand why. Phil Foden was denied clear penalty in the first half. Alex McCarthy took him down. Foden's biggest mistake was he tried to get back up. If he had stayed down, there's no doubt that penalty would have been awarded. Saying that, though, VAR looks at it and they still don't give the penalties. So this is why players go down, and they're probably told to stay down, because when they're too honest, they don't get the penalties. Didn't matter because obviously City were so dominant, but imagine it was 0-0 with 2 minutes to go and that incident happens. Maybe it would have been different. But more action tonight. It's the last 16 of the Europa League. Manchester United and AC Milan at Old Trafford is the pick of the ties. No Zlatan Ibrahimovic for that game, though. 5-6, that one gets underway at. Also have newly crowned champions in Scotland, Rangers away to Slavia Prague. Then at 8 o'clock, it's Arsenal away to Olympiacos, and Tottenham host Dinamo Zagreb. Amateur jockey Rob James was last night handed a 4-month ban from racing. The IHRB handed down a 12-month ban. The last 8 months suspended, though. That was after the video emerged last week of James mimicking riding on a recently deceased horse. And the Players' Championship gets underway at Sawgrass later on today. Rory McIlroy, defending champion from 2019, obviously last year's competition or tournament was postponed after the first round due to the pandemic. So McIlroy among the early starters, due to tee off at 20-1. Graham McDowell will go out about half an hour before that. And Shane Lowry is due to tee off after 6 o'clock. Yeah,
McIlroy's on Jimmy Fallon saying he's getting texts from Tiger Woods giving out about how bad he's playing himself, which is a brilliant self-deprecating name-dropping story, but also a little bit concerning that while Tiger Woods' leg is practically hanging off, he's still thinking, wow, I'm in a better state than you are, Rory.
Yeah, and if you're going to wear red on the final day, Rory, you've got to play like me and not stink the place out. What was the 76 at the Arnold Palmer Invitational? Like, you look at his stats, Rory's, and you see all the top 10s, but you realise that doesn't contend enough. And yeah, maybe this is the tournament. Maybe, who knows? If he's going to win the Masters, maybe he has to go completely in under the radar. But it's very hard because he gives an interview and he's asked about winning the Masters, and then the quotes are out there and he doesn't win it. And then the question is, will he ever win it?
Phil, just to go back to the Liverpool situation, I was chatting with Owen before you came on there about the possibility of them essentially relaxing into the league now and saying, look, I mean, it's a complete mess, but we are playing well in Europe. Those teams will have to come out and try and beat us. Potentially Porto might be, I know you say they're the dream draw, but actually a team who's coming out and attacking and leaving some space in behind might be the type of team that this Liverpool side needs at the moment, because they haven't been particularly creative against the sides who drop deep. Notwithstanding that, is there a possibility that they actually just relax into the league now and start playing much better football on the basis that it's very clear what they need to do this year to somehow salvage the season?
Yeah, I think one thing I would have been worried about going into the game last night was if Liverpool get knocked out, that's it, the season is over. Now, I'm not saying Liverpool are going to win the Champions League. Personally, I don't think they can win it, but at least it's prolonged now that they have a quarter-final to look forward to, that there is players now in the squad saying to Jurgen Klopp, I want to get into that team for the first leg of the quarter-final. So there is that to play for, and maybe that can spark some sort of a run going in the Premier League. Again, I think they've too much work to do to finish in the top four, and I'm of the opinion I'd nearly rather them not finish in the Europa League places than finish in them, because it just means next season with players back. And the encouraging sign for Liverpool fans watching the game last night was Fabinho was back, and there's been so much talk about what will they be like next season. Well, if they have all these players back, then they're going to be good again. So it's not the crisis at the moment. They're not in good form, but it's not as if this is it, like Klopp has to go and there's no way back. You bring some of these players back in, Liverpool will be good again, but they still do need to recruit in the summer. Here's
the thing, the quality of the performance last night wasn't perfect. Absolutely wasn't them at their absolute swashbuckling, we're the best team in Europe best, but several players improved. Like, you got contributions from players, even from Origi. You got contributions from the fullbacks, which were better combined than they have been in recent weeks, which is kind of would suggest that actually largely it's been about the injuries as opposed to some fundamental other problem which is underlying, and therefore they've been worked out and therefore this is terminal. It didn't feel that way last night. It didn't feel that way when they were winning games on the road in London, those two games back to back against good teams either. Like, there's been enough signs that make you just very confused about why this is happening if it isn't just the injuries.
Yeah, I think as well, when you watch Liverpool, if they concede the first goal, then it just seems that psychologically they think we can't come back from this. Whereas last season, watching Liverpool, over the last few years, when they concede, you almost look at the clock and you think, right, they've half an hour to turn this around. They'll do it, no problem. I think as well, one performance to mention as well, Thiago. Probably in the first half, some of his best football for Liverpool because Fabinho was in there. And Thiago actually wasn't going around sliding and throwing in desperation tackles. He actually dispossessed a few Leipzig players and didn't give away that many frees. So that's the knock-on effect of that as well, where Fabinho and Henderson beside Thiago, then you get the best out of Thiago. But it's been symptomatic of Liverpool's struggles in midfield, that Thiago's performances haven't been very good. A lot gets thrown at him. They were so bad against Fulham the other day. Thiago wasn't on the pitch, so you can't blame him for everything.
Yeah, and look, I suppose that's the whole point about the team being the sum of its parts, and that's why good management gets more out of some players than other managers have been able to do. Phil, good stuff. Thanks a million. We'll leave it there this morning.